I hope you are doing really well and having a lovely day. I am just doing a quick introduction because I filmed the majority of this video a month ago, and when I came to edit it, the first section, the camera keeps sort of focusing in and out like this, which is making it really distracting, and personally I wouldn't want to watch it like that, so I decided to cut that bit out and just do a quick introduction for you instead. So the video is me sewing the Juliette Tie-Back Blouse from Simple Sew using the fabric that went into August's Summer Meadow themed SewHayleyJane boxes, which I will pop a link to the unboxing video below. So the fabric arrived at my studio and I love it so much. I mean, I love all the fabrics that I send, but this one I knew I was definitely going to have enough left over. So if you can hear the ice cream van in the background. But I knew that I was going to have enough of this left over, so I made sure to cut myself a length and get it home and get it washed, and I managed to get this sewn up before the boxes went out, before I'd even sent the magazines off to print for the boxes. So I managed to write an article about this top to put in the magazine as well, which is really awesome. I've never managed to do that before, so I am super proud of myself for that. I had a day in the studio, and in the afternoon I knew that I would have some time on my hands, so I decided to film myself sewing, because last time I did that I think was back in January, and you guys really enjoyed it. So it's not a sew along, it's not a tutorial, it's just a sort of sew with me, chatty, social kind of thing. So watch it whilst you're sewing something as well, and it'd be like we're sewing together. It's lovely. So in the bit of the video that I've had to cut out, I talk about the pattern and the adjustments that I've made, and then the rest will be me sort of talking through the process as I'm doing it and chatting about what I'm watching on TV and things like that. So I hope you enjoy it. So the Juliette Tie-Back Blouse, I actually sent in the boxes I think about 2 years ago, maybe a little bit more than 2 years ago now. It was a really early box, but for some reason I haven't got one for myself. I don't know if I just didn't order enough to get one for me too, or I can't remember, it was so long ago. But I went to the Sew Southampton meetup last month, and this pattern was in the pattern swap. So I don't know who bought that in. I don't know if you watch my videos, but whoever you are, thank you very much for bringing that to the Sew Southampton pattern swap. And it's lovely. It's just, I've seen it made up, and it's, if you use a really drapey fabric, it just sits really nicely. The instructions and the pattern pieces, I mean, Simple Sew, there are 3 pattern pieces. The front and the back pattern pieces are exactly the same. Then you've got the facing, and then you've got the tie straps as well. And the instructions are really very minimal. So you just get a piece of paper like this, and that's it. That's the instructions. There are a few bits that I did that I sort of, having sewn for a little while, I kind of felt that there were other methods that could be used, or easier things. I can't remember what they were now. I think it might have been to do with the ties. So they have you fold the belt in half, right sides together, and press it, and then stitch it, and then turn it through and press it again. So I don't know what the point of that first press is. I don't feel that that's necessary at all. I think that was the only thing. Oh, the other thing they didn't tell you to do is to finish the facing edges, but I do talk about that in the video. So the other thing to mention is the sizings are particularly odd in this. So the bust for an extra small is 48 inches, which is bigger than my bust. And if you've been following me for a while, you'll know, because I'm very open about this, extra small is not something that I have ever been. I normally fall into the bigger sizes. and they only give you the bust measurement and the neck to hem measurement on this pattern, so it was a bit of an odd one to try and figure out. I knew I wanted it to fit quite nicely up the top, and I knew I wanted it to drape out at the hips, so I decided to just go with my gut, and I cut a medium at the top and then graded out to, so I grade out to a large or an extra large at the hips. Let me have a look. So I graded out to an extra large at the hips. I also lengthened the pattern by 2 inches. They don't give you a lengthen and shorten line, so I just cut sort of, I can show you. I can show you. Ooh. So here's the pattern piece. Like I said, they don't give you a lengthen or shorten line, so I just cut along here, straight line along there, and lengthened it by 2 inches, which is perfect. I think it definitely would have been too short for me if I hadn't done that. I'll fold that back up again later. And yeah, I'm really, really happy with it. I've worn it a few times. The only thing that having worn it a bit more than obviously when I made it a month ago and was filming it, I'd only just put it on fresh, and it takes, sometimes you need to wear it a couple of times to figure out what you might change different, what you might do differently next time. The only thing I would change is the hem at the back, because the pattern pieces are exactly the same on the front and the back. You could put it on either way around, it doesn't matter, unless you put a label in the back. But because the ties bring it in at the back, it then makes the back ride up a bit and then sits a bit shorter on the back. And the sides sort of angle down, if that makes sense. You do see it in the video because I've already edited it, so you can see what I mean, that the sides, the side of the hem's angled down and the hem at the back comes up because it's been tied back. So I think if I was going to make this again, I don't know if I will make it again. I think it's one of those ones I'm happy to make it and wear it and move on. But if I were to make it, if I were to give any advice for anyone wanting to make it, I would maybe lengthen the pattern piece at the back. So I would probably trace off the pattern piece to create 2, a front and a back, and I would probably somehow grade the center of the hem. So I'd grade it from the side seam to the center of the hem and kind of give it a bit of a curving shape, probably. Curving shape? A curved shape. But that's it. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else I talked about in the bit of the video that's no good. I don't think there is. I think that kind of covers it all. So I hope you enjoy watching the video, and I will see you all soon. It's been such a long time since I've used my overlocker. I kind of was worried it wasn't going to work and that I would need to get it serviced, but I think it's going to be okay. Probably need to do some fiddling with the settings, but I will be honest, it still scares me. I still don't like fiddling with the settings. I can never figure it out. Do you know what? I actually don't think the white overlocker looks too bad at all on that. I think that's okay. Right, turning my belt loops now. I've just had to change the camera battery as well. Annoyingly, I've left my sewing kit, my box, at home. Which has got my loop turner, so I'm using a giant what's it called, safety pin that luckily I had to make it nice and easy. It's just that turning that first bit is always fiddly, isn't it? Okay, got it. Okay, we're off. I need to start thinking about a project or 2 projects to take with me to the sewing weekend at the end of August. I am so excited. I was very lucky to get a ticket. I am a sponsor as well, so I need to get my finger out and send something for the goodie bags. I was hoping to put together like a mini subscription box, but I've just left it too late and that's not going to happen. Sorry to disappoint, but oh, I'm so excited. The Fold Line ladies have just emailed, and Charlotte, sorry, with the itinerary for the weekend, and it is exciting and I'm super excited. I know some of my lovely subscribers are going, which I am always really excited to meet them. I'm also excited to catch up with a few people like Alexandra and Caroline from Selkie Patterns. I've met Alexandra before, I haven't met Caroline, but I have included their pattern in one of my boxes, so I'm excited to see them. They are going to be talking. I'm also excited to see Nina from Nina Lee Patterns, because I quite often have included her patterns in the boxes. I love her patterns, so excited to see her too. It's going to be amazing. And lovely Andrea, who I was just talking about from Experimental Space, she's going, and we live quite close together, so I think we've been talking about sharing the drive, or sharing a lift up there. I'll be driving probably, and she might be coming with me, which is awesome. So very exciting. I just need to, I've booked the first night, I need to contact the college to book a second night's accommodation. This one is not going, this loop is not going as fast as the first one did. So anyway, yes, thinking of a couple of projects to take. Now I think I'm going to do this one, take something simple that doesn't require too much thought, that I can sort of pick up and put down, because I imagine there'll be lots of chatting as well. And there's some workshops going on which look quite exciting too. Or do I just want to get involved in a project and use the 2-day, well, it's a day and a half, a whole day and a half of sewing. I can't wait. I'm going to miss Mia and Andy, obviously, but I'm going to miss Mia so much. It's going to be really hard to be away from her for 2 nights. I've done a couple of times I've been away from her for 1 night, and that was quite hard. It was okay, and weirdly I actually don't sleep better. I sleep worse when I'm away from home. So when people say, oh, you'll get an uninterrupted night's sleep, it doesn't really matter. When I went to the launch of Like So Amazing back in January, I think it was, I stayed in, is it a Travel Inn or Premier Inn? I think it was a Travel Lodge or something like that. And that was my first night away from Mia, and I was excited but nervous and everything. And I'd gone to bed and I turned the lights off. Somebody started trying to get into my room. And there was like noise going on outside, and somebody was knocking on my door and trying to get in. I'm hoping they just got the wrong door. I phoned down to reception. There wasn't a telephone in the room linked directly to reception, so I had to go onto the website to get the phone number and phone reception and say, there's something going on outside. I am here on my own and there's somebody trying to get in. And they came up and checked, and then when in the morning when I went down, they said they checked CCTV and nothing came up, which, I'll be honest, I think was a big fat lie, because I did not dream that. I have pretty vivid dreams, but not that vivid. And I was texting Andy at the time as well. So yes, I think either they were lying or their CCTV wasn't working. Either way, it wasn't particularly reassuring. Yay, 2 belt loops done. Where's my instructions? There they are. Okay, I will iron those in a minute, but first I need to attach the facing to the neckline of the bodice. So, let's move the scraps out of the way. Another thing that it doesn't tell you to do in the instructions was to finish the edge of the facing. So I have just overlocked the facing edge there. It's looking quite pretty with that white overlock thread actually. I like that. Is this going to fit over my head? Not entirely certain this is going to fit over my head. Might be a bit of a squeeze. I'll have to go on before doing hair and makeup in the morning. I like it as a sun visor thing. Nothing quite like the sound of the ice cream van, and I definitely made use of it last week when we had a bit of a heat wave last week. Right, I'm going to go press the facing and then I'll need to understitch it, which is going to be tricky because there's not much there to understitch. And at the same time I'm going to press my ties. Okay, facing is attached. Annoyingly, I should have read the instructions all the way through. When at the beginning it tells you to stay stitch the neckline within the seam allowance, and it said the seam allowance was 1.5 centimeters, but then when they tell you to sew the facing to the neckline, they tell you to only do it at a 1 centimeter seam allowance, which means my stay stitching is showing. So I'm gonna have to do some unpicking on the sofa tonight, which is fine, that's okay. I'm not sure it's gonna sit. I feel like it's kind of, look, doing this. I've tried it on, obviously it's not stitched up the side seam, so it's not totally clear what it's going to do yet, but maybe it didn't need interfacing. It said to interface it, but I'm wondering if the interfacing is making it too bulky. I don't know. We shall see. We'll see what it looks like when it's done. So next up is position the belt ties and pin them in place on the front bodice at the waistline notches, so they're sandwiched between the front and back bodices. You can secure them with base stitches, remove the pins if you do this, and yeah, stitch up front and back bodices together, so the sleeve hem. Nearly finished, so just have to pop the ties in place, stitch up the side seam which starts at the arm and all the way down, and then it's just a case of overlocking the raw edges and turning them up. We have been watching, I say we as in me and Andy, have been watching some really good TV lately. We've only just discovered Big Little Lies on HBO. Thanks to my mother-in-law for recommending that one. So good. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Gripping. Gripping, I sound like some kind of, what's that word? What is that word? Reviewer? TV reviewer? That's not the word. What's the word? I can't remember. You know what I mean, someone who reviews TV programs. There's a word for that, I'm sure there is. Anyway, that was great. We discovered that quite late, I think. So the second season has just finished on HBO. So we watched the entire first season and second season all together. So good. So loved that. Then we've also just watched the second season of Working Mums on Netflix, which is so funny. Love that one as well. Andy really enjoys that too. I feel really self-conscious. I've got the door to my studio open behind me and I'm just sat here sewing and talking to my camera and people keep walking past. So there's a lot of kids that keep running past because it's the school holidays, summer holidays, and we've got hairdressers next door, and I imagine they've probably brought their kids in, or there's mums who've come in to get their hair done and brought their kids in as well. So there's lots of kids running around, probably looking in wondering what the crazy lady on the sewing machine's doing, talking to herself. What else have we? Oh, I'm so sad. This Thursday is the last episode of Jane the Virgin. I have loved that and I'm really sad that that's ending, and I think it's going to be tearful. So if you haven't watched Jane the Virgin, that's a very funny one. That's available on Netflix. I think there's 5 or 6 seasons altogether, but it's a good sort of 24 episodes per season. And we only found that quite recently, so we binge watched most of it and then we caught up with the final season about halfway through. So we're watching it as it airs now. Oh, so good. Okay, we are finished. I haven't got a mirror here, so I haven't had a chance to properly look to see what I think. So I can just about see, because you're quite far away there, and even with glasses my eyesight is not great. But it feels nice, it feels lovely to wear. I like that it's cinched in at the waist here, and I like the sleeves as well. The only thing I'm not sure about, I'm trying to think, I don't think I ever wear necklines this high, especially not in a woven, and it feels a little bit weird, so I'm not sure about the facing, whether I unpick it. I did read Gemma, the geeky sewist, has made one in the past because I found it on the Simple Sew blog, and she said she unpicked it and just folded the neckline over, so that might be something to do, or try again without the interfacing, but there we go. There's the back. It's nice and lightweight, so nice when it's sort of springtime, warm, don't need a cardigan but still want to wear jeans. Yeah, I'm happy. I think I'm happy. The neckline looks nice from what I can see from here, so there we go. Love the colour. Colour's gorgeous. I'm happy about that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching if you've made it this far. I hope you enjoyed this video. Would you like to see more of these kind of videos? I don't often get the chance to sew at the studio, but maybe I will do now, because Mia's at childcare 1 day a week, and the grandparents, their summer holidays have started to slow down now. So I'm getting about 3 days a week in the studio, so maybe I'll be able to fit in more studio sewing time, which would be nice. So maybe I will be able to do more of these videos. If you like it, comment below and let me know. Do you enjoy this kind of video? Chatty, sewing, that kind of thing. But yeah, there we go, final look. Ta-da! Anyway, thank you so much for watching everyone, and I will see you all really soon. Bye bye!